What's going on, and welcome to Pro Football Today right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. It's week 15 of the NFL season, and we have a ton to get to. It's a little bit of a different setup this week as we have a ton of weather across the NFL games. Weather has impacted this show just a little bit. I am stepping in, of course, for Kevin Walsh, but I'm not alone. I'm going to be joined by two of our hosts right here on SportsGrid, Joe Lisi and George Kurtz. It is high time when it comes to playoff implications, teams making the playoffs, missing the playoffs. We have injuries to get to. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. There's so much to get to. We'll have a couple guests later on with Adam Kaplan and Dr. David Chow. I'm ready to roll. Joe, I know you are as well.
Oh, yeah, we have some bad weather, Tom, but it's the Mount Rushmore of SportsGrid here, breaking down all of these games, right? Detroit and L.A., Bills and Patriots, Kansas City and L.A., Chiefs are on life support. All these games today will dictate championship odds, and for some teams, they'll be on the outside looking in for a potential playoff spot. So really curious to see how these games, especially at 1 o'clock, play out today.
That's right. We also, speaking of the slate, 1 o'clock overall, George, no bye weeks. We have 5 games starting at 4:25 p.m. today. We are in for a loaded day of action.
Absolutely, and one of the bigger games in the latest slate would be Green Bay, Denver, right? Two divisional leaders here. A lot of us think that Denver may be frauds, right? That maybe they're not, up there with the bigger boys there. Maybe we're going to find out today. We'll pay attention to the injuries there. Josh Jacobs still has the bruised knee. Emmanuel Wilson, I believe, feeling a little bit under the weather. We'll see how that works out there. Jordan Love, who's one of the best quarterbacks against man defense. Denver plays a truckload of man, but it's good man. We'll see how that works out for the Green Bay Packers today.
So let's get to the playoff picture for both the AFC and the NFC. Obviously, so much is changing on a week-to-week basis. Let's start off with the NFC. Things are changing as of Thursday night when we saw the Bucs lose to the Falcons in an absolutely crazy game. This is how things set as of now. Falcons coming away with the win, as you see there, but a ton of teams in the hunt, a ton of teams that are looking to secure their spots. The Bears were in the 1 seed last week. They lose to the Packers. They are dropped into a wild card. They certainly have an easier matchup when it's all said and done today against the Bears, but things are not locked up for them. They play the Packers next week. Joe, initial thoughts on, and what's your biggest takeaway or biggest view of this NFC playoff picture coming into today's slate?
Well, I think the two, Tom, is one, Chicago, 9-4 overall. They lost to Green Bay last week, but they're potentially solidified in this spot. They pick up the victory today. They're at 10-4, and Ben Johnson could be potentially coach of the year. They've overexceeded expectations already with an 8.5 win total. They have 9 wins, and I think they're streaking to potentially be a dangerous team. The other team I think that you have to keep an eye out on, and they lost on Monday night, was the Philadelphia Eagles. That performance against LA, Philly right now is reeling. Dallas is within striking distance. We haven't seen back-to-back divisional winners dating back to 2004. Can Dallas make a run, and can Philly maintain some momentum at the end of the regular season to potentially challenge again for a Super Bowl championship?
And George, I'll ask you the same thing. What are your expectations for Rams-Lions? Because that's one of the games of the week, and that can impact things. Frankly, the Rams, they can handle a loss right now. The loss does not sink them, but for the Lions, a loss puts them up against it.
It's a tough draw. I mean, the Rams, in my mind, are the best team, maybe in the NFL, certainly in the NFC for me. It's close to a couple of other teams, and I'm the first person to tell you, we seem to change our opinion on this every other week. All right. When they lost a couple weeks ago to Carolina, they weren't the best team anymore. Now it's such and such. But I think they're the best overall team. Detroit goes to the Rams here. I expect points in this game. Right? That's what I expect, points. The over is 54.5. I think we're going to reach it. Sort of like, the Cowboys and Lions, same thing here. Points we put up on the board. We heard Jared Goff stop talking about the trade. It was years ago. I don't blame him. It was years ago. It's over here. But still, it's fun to talk about Stafford versus Goff there. So I think it's going to be an excellent game, entertaining game, fun game. I like the Rams. I do. I think if it was in Detroit, I would probably like Detroit. Losing Branch, by the way, remember, he loved the Achilles injury. He's out for the season there for Detroit. That's a monster loss for the Lions here. I think that affects them today. Adams and Nakua both have big games.
Mhm. As we turn to the AFC playoff picture, there are two games that stand out to me. They stand out to everyone else today. That's what we're going to see from the Bills and the Pats. But it also comes down to the Ravens and the Bengals. And we already know that the Bengals have the one head-to-head win over the Ravens. The Ravens have a very difficult remaining schedule over the final 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the Bengals have a pretty easy run of things where they have to play the Dolphins, they have to play the Cardinals, and they end the season with the Browns. Meanwhile, the Ravens are taking on the Packers, they're taking on the Pats. So to me, Joe, this is looking like a borderline must-win game for the Ravens. They're not in the playoff picture right now, neither are the Bengals, but the Steelers hold the division lead as of now. But if the Ravens want a shot, they need to win today's game.
Yeah, they do. And that performance last week against Pittsburgh, I thought was absolutely pitiful. Offensively, defensively, to allow Pittsburgh to put up 27 points and lose that game as a 5.5-point home favorite is pathetic. They need to step up, and Lamar Jackson needs to step up. I think when you look at this offense now, let that Thursday night game on Thanksgiving, he did not perform well against Cincinnati. He needs a better effort. This passing attack needs to take over. And again, if they're going to potentially make a wild card, this offense needs to be explosive. They have to dominate the rest of the way. We'll see if they can do it. I do like the over in the game, but we'll see if Baltimore does in fact pull it out a little bit later.
And George, when it comes to the AFC South, the Texans are starting to gain momentum. They have a very winnable matchup today. The Jags also have a winnable matchup today against the Jets. We'll get to both those games later. But as things sit right now, do you think the Colts, despite that hot start they had, do you think they are on the outside looking in when it's all said and done?
I mean, you have to feel bad for the Colts, right? They went all in with the Sauce Gardner trade, right? All in. Give you a couple of number one picks here. Then Daniel Jones breaks the leg. And then he tears the Achilles. All right. You're signing Phillip Rivers. Are you kidding me? I mean, by the way, you know what hasn't been talked about enough? Sam Ellinger decided he didn't want to come play for the Colts. Why? You would have been. I know Denver activated him to the roster anyway, but he would have been maybe a starting quarterback this week, and there'd be no Phillip. He said no. I just found that very strange here. You can't tell me, guys, that Phillip Rivers, who hasn't played in 1,800 days, I'm not making that up. That's the number here. He's going to come in and play well against the Seattle defense that hasn't let up a touchdown since like Labor Day. I think he's going to get killed. And maybe that's why they don't want Ryan Leonard to play, because they want to ruin him by him getting destroyed. Just bottom line is this. They're going to run Jonathan Taylor a truckload today. Good luck with that. There's going to be 8-man fronts, 9-man fronts. Everyone's going to look to stop Taylor. I think it's all over but the crying for the Colts. And I do feel bad for them. It's just everything's gone downhill since that trade.
Absolutely for them. A great start to the season, but ending very badly. Let's take a look at the NFC Championship odds for what we have. We know the usual suspects up at the top for this. The Rams are going to be leading the way. But after that, the grouping of teams that we see is kind of bunched up in the middle, Joe. You know, to me, I don't love this middle group. Would have far more interest in going to a team like San Francisco rather than going to a team like Philly or Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Detroit has this step-up game, right, against L.A. They're 5.5-point underdogs. If they get this victory, then potentially they can go on a run and maybe you could buy in. But again, I really look to Philadelphia as the team in that middle pack ahead of San Francisco for me to get it right over the next 4 weeks, to find their momentum. They have an easier game today with Las Vegas. It is bad weather. They're big favorites at home. If they dominate this game, I think they can go on a mini run, win 4 straight, and then have that momentum into the playoffs. That would be the team for me still, that in a playoff environment, I know there's a lot of question marks, but I would still buy in for me over Philly, over everybody else.
And George, quickly to the same for you for NFC. Would that be the same grouping of teams you'd look towards?
Yeah, Philly, they got to catch a break, right? The next 4 games, 2 against Washington, the Raiders today, Buffalo. They should get the offense fixed here. That being said, the team I look to, Green Bay Packers. I think they may be the best overall team. Jordan Love's playing great here. Losing Tucker Kraft was hurt the team somewhat here, but I think they can survive that. Josh Jacobs, good running game, very good defense here. I look at the Packers.
Yeah, we have a ton to get to. We just touched on the NFC Championship odds. We will look at the AFC Championship odds, the Super Bowl odds, MVP, you name it. Then we will go game by game, breaking things down, all right here on SportsGrid. Stay tuned. Pro Football Today will be right back.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing I don't know if it's a documentary or actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid Pro Football Today. My name is Tom Vecchio. I'm alongside Joe Lisi and George Kurtz, stepping in with a new crew today for Pro Football Today. We have a ton to get to. We did the opening segment, but let's hop into game by game, and we're absolutely starting off with one of the games of the week with the New England Patriots hosting the Buffalo Bills. We have to remember that the Pats won the matchup earlier in the season on Sunday Night Football at Buffalo. The Pats now come in as slight home dogs. This is going to lock things up for the Pats in the AFC East, Joe, but a Bills win here could catapult them to having a conversation, at least, to winning the AFC East once again.
Right, so this is a make it or breaking game for the Bills. They're 3-3 on the road right now. They picked up back-to-back wins against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. They're going to need Josh Allen's A game in this matchup. He performed okay in the fourth quarter to pull out that victory against Cincinnati, but it was the defense that was opportunistic. Can they do it again against a very good quarterback in Drake May? Now, New England has won 10 straight by an average margin of victory, guys, of 11.8 points per game. They are 5-2 at home. They've won the home games very dominant, 16 points per game. I'm going to give the edge right now to Josh Allen in this spot. I think he does it through the air. I altered him to 275 plus and 2 touchdowns. They're laying 1.5. It's a tough spot, but I'm going to go against the number. I'm going to lay it with the Bills. I think they win it by a field goal or more.
I absolutely like the Bills as well. I'm on their money line today, so I'm with you on that. George, expectations for this game, and we can kind of roll this into a little bit of the MVP conversation. Obviously, Drake May has been battling with Matthew Stafford for a lot of the season, but a win at home, locking up the division title, would go a long way for Drake May in correlation with his MVP odds.
I mean, New England's more than likely going to win the division. Win or lose today, it really won't matter all that much. They hold the second tiebreaker over Buffalo as well. All right, that's division record. So, I mean, unless you think they're going to lose to Miami or the Jets, I guess Miami's playing better. And maybe they could lose to Baltimore next week. But even if they do that, once again, they need a division loss, to really get there for the Buffalo Bills. And Bills have to win out, obviously. They still got Philadelphia in a couple of weeks. So I don't know if I'm really all that worried about the Patriots not winning the division. I like Buffalo today as well. I don't love it, mind you. I don't, and I certainly wouldn't guarantee it. Small play on it, nothing great. It's not part of my teasers, not part of my parlays, because I don't think it's going to a lock, not in my opinion anyway. How much more can we ask Josh Allen to do? Because he's going to have to be Superman again. All right, James Cook to a degree as well. And I kind of like, if you want to play Cook's touches, kind of like that today. as far as props go, because I think he's going to get a bunch, and you can run on New England more than you can pass. So it's going to be the Cook and Allen show like it is every week here. I'm not going to play any touchdown props in this game. Dalton Kincaid comes to mind here. I don't think this is going to be as high-scoring a game, at least not for the peripheral players in this contest here. And New England, sort of like Denver, are they frauds too? I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're as good as their record is. And guys, would it be surprised anybody? Like I said, I do think New England wins the division, so they won't play a playoff game until the divisional round. It wouldn't shock me if they go, what is their record? 11-2. If they go, whatever, 14-3, yet they're a dog in their first playoff game.
That would be interesting to see. I will say I do like Steph Diggs going over 50.5 receiving yards for his number. We have seen the Bills struggle against the pass. Diggs in a revenge game. We saw that on that Sunday night game weeks and weeks ago where he really wanted to score a touchdown. He wasn't able to get there into the game with over 100 yards. I do like him in that spot. We will turn from that AFC game to another huge AFC game. That is the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. It has not been the season many people expected from the Chiefs. Obviously, people always want to buy into variance and things flipping from last year, winning all of these one-score games, and now this year losing so many of these one-score games. The offense doesn't look the same. The defense still is looking fantastic under Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, Joe, but the game that we saw from them last week, I thought they were in it the entire time, and their offense just never stepped up. The defense did the job for the Chiefs last week, and they just couldn't get it done on Sunday night against the Texans. This game, the Chiefs have to have it, and the Chargers are a team that have dealt with so much. The offensive line injuries, the Justin Herbert hand injury last week, where they barely moved the ball through the air. What are you thinking about this game? Because I find it extremely difficult to lay 5.5 with the Chiefs at any point this season.
Yeah, it seems like a fishy line, right? You just want to take the 5.5 with LA in this spot. They knocked them off week number 1. It's a tale of two teams. And what I mean by that is LA has the momentum knocking off Philadelphia. They've won 5 of the last 6 by an average margin of victory of 13.8 points per game. On the flip side, Kansas City has lost 4 of the last 5. Their only win during that span was the 3-point win in the fourth quarter against Indianapolis, where they sent the game into overtime. The biggest problem, Tom, and you can look at that game last week, Andy Reid rolling the dice, is again, there's no offensive consistency. The last 5 games, third down conversions have been atrocious. They've converted 24 of 69 attempts. That's only 34%, with potentially the best quarterback in the NFL, 3-time Super Bowl winner Pat Mahomes. Here's the deal. Andy Reid, your backs are against the wall. Take the governor off the offense. Take it off. You should be racing to 150. First team to 40 should win this game. But instead, they want to run the football. They want to sustain drives. And all of a sudden, Andy Reid and the Chiefs are looking at losses. They can't afford that in this game today. I reluctantly would lay the 5.5 with Kansas City. But my best bet in this game is over 41.5, guys.
Okay, so expecting some points in this game. George, what are your thoughts? And, obviously the odds for the Chiefs, if we have them here, the odds for the Chiefs to make the playoffs are nothing that we've ever seen, really, in the past decade at this point. To make the playoffs at this point, they're plus 520, and to miss, they're sitting at minus 900. Expectations for this game and really for the Chiefs to end the season at a certain point.
Well, if we look at it from the football angle, it's which offensive line holds up. All right, the Chiefs are missing 3 starters. I don't think the Chargers have any starters left. All right, so, Herbert and Mahomes are going to be running for their lives a little bit. I'm the first to tell you, I thought what Herbert did against the Eagles Monday night was, I know he didn't have a great statistical game, but the play, after the surgery on his hand, right there, and he's pushing people off with that hand while running. He's calling his own number. He played fearless. Much respect to Justin Herbert. I'm with you. I'm going to take the points. All right, I think it's going to be a close game. You look at the weather here for those who are wondering. It's going to be cold, 16 degrees, so they're going to feel it there in Kansas City. I don't think we're going to get a lot of points in this game. I don't. I think we're going to see a lot of runs here from both sides. I think Herbert will play better throwing the football. I do. It's a week later, 6 days later, so he'll play better. But I don't think he's 100% either here. That Monday night game almost solidified their playoff spots, right? They should be okay here. I think they know they can afford a loss. Kansas City has to win this game. I just don't know if they have the horses to do so.
We will talk about the Broncos taking on the Packers next, which is closely impacted by this Chiefs-Chargers game for the AFC West. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got a.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show.
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter.
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he was number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid, Pro Football Today. Tom Vecchio alongside Joe Lisi and George Kurtz. We were just talking about Chiefs-Chargers. We'll dive into that game just a little bit more. Joe, you have some props you like in that game.
I do, and we'll start with the Buffalo side. I still think Josh Allen with the Chiefs. Okay, here we go. I'll take Xavier Worthy. I thought we were doing the Bills. We'll talk Xavier Worthy. I talked about the governor being taken off of the offense. Xavier Worthy's been held in check. They've been going more to Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown than Xavier Worthy. I think he breaks out with a huge performance. Could be 70+. He's 3-1 to score an anytime touchdown in the game. So I think it's great value. I'm expecting points in this matchup. I know it's cold, but if you're Kansas City, you have to be able to push a little bit of tempo playing at home. And I think it's all Mahomes, all Xavier Worthy today. He has the most value out of all the wide receivers in this matchup.
All right, now we will get to Bills Pats with any extra, and then we will turn this into an AFC Championship odds discussion. George, do you have any props in this game? And if not, we can get to Joe with some other props. Like I said, I like Steph Diggs over 50.5 receiving yards, but George, anything specifically for you in this one?
Yeah, I'll tail you on the Steph Diggs. I do like that as well here. Let's face it, he is their main target there. I mentioned before, for Buffalo, which I think is really where we tend to edge to, right? Because it's Josh Allen, right? It's hard not to look at his rushing props. It's anytime touchdown. I mentioned earlier, James Cook, maybe you want to go with his receiving yards and his rushing yards total, a little over on both there. I could see it combined him. He has to be the guy there. Now, don't get me wrong. New England knows this too. All right, they're going to do all they can. I do expect them to put a spy on Josh Allen and someone who can run with him, right? Something you sort of have to do that you can. If I'm New England, Josh Allen's not beating me with his legs. He can beat me with his arm, fine. What am I going to do? Yeah, but he's not beating me with his legs. He's not rushing for 60, 70 yards here and keep moving those chains here. But I think that's what he's going to have to try to do here. May to a certain degree as well here. So I'm going to be careful with Josh Allen's rushing yards, but I'm going to take that prop as well. Josh Allen to get to the end zone. And almost every James Cook prop there is, with the exception of an anytime touchdown. I'm probably not going to go that direction there, as I don't think this is going to be as high scoring as some people believe here. But I do like Cook to touch the ball a whole bunch, whether it's catching or rushing attempts there. And I think he gets his yardage props.
All right, Joe, to you, any props in Bills Pats today?
So to George's point, I like James Cook over the 16.5. I think he needs to be utilized in the passing attack as well. You got to believe that New England's going to try and stack the box, shut down Allen, shut down Cook in the rushing attack, and that's where it can lead to chunk plays in the passing game for James Cook. But I also like Dalton Kincaid. when Kincaid is involved heavily in the offense, and we saw Dawson Knox receive 80 yards last week, close to 90 in that game. I think Dalton Kincaid at 42.5 is easy in this matchup. They have to get him involved. I think he can get to 60, potentially 70 in this matchup. So I think it has good value. And what about Keon Coleman? I mean, you look at the number on Keon Coleman, depressed at 12.5 for basically the guy that was supposed to take over for Stephon Diggs. I know he's got glimpses of potentially stepping up in matchups, but a depreciated number, that's 1 or 2 catches to potentially get through that. So I think Keon Coleman could get to at least 25 in this ballgame.
A quite up and down start to his career with the Bills, but let's turn this into an AFC Championship odds discussion, because there's a grouping of teams where no one really stands out. The books are booking the Pats and the Broncos at this price because they have to. That's where they sit in the standings. But the Bills were obviously one of the favorites going into the season alongside with the Chiefs, who have, of course, fallen off a cliff. It's a jumbled group, to say the least, George. Anything stand out to you, or anything that you have your eye on?
If you're asking me who I like here, I don't like anybody. I mean, you look at these teams here. New England, we already talked about New England and the Broncos maybe being frauds. You know, and when I say that, by the way, I'm not saying they're bad teams, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as their records say they are. And we all know New England's played they played a crap schedule, right? Don't get me wrong, you play your schedule. You're not setting your schedule, right? The NFL does. We know who you're playing every year. It's worked out for you. Denver cannot keep scraping by winning these last-minute games here. Buffalo, it's Josh Allen and bust, all right? Cook and Allen and bust. You have nothing else. Your receivers are terrible. Keon Coleman's terrible. Your defense is bad. It's just Josh Allen. Houston, love your defense. I don't trust that offense. Your running game's blah. C.J. Stroud, your offensive line there. You know, Jacksonville, really? Trevor Lawrence? Chargers, no offensive line. You just keep going down. There are more bugs here. I guess if I had to, maybe this will be Josh Allen's the year we don't expect him to do anything, right? Maybe this will be the year. But I don't trust any of these teams.
Joe, to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's got, and I've told Sammy and all the Buffalo Bills backers, it has to be Josh Allen this year, with Pat Mahomes are basically on life support and going to be out of the playoffs. If you can't do it this year, it has to be Josh Allen. I'll just say the one team that has value, Jacksonville, they knocked off Kansas City. They did push and really exploit that Houston defense. I know they lost that game, but they're slowly coming into form offensively.
We got plenty more to get to. Pats Broncos coming up on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, a Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing I don't know if it's a documentary or actors are in it.
It's got
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid Pro Football today. Myself, Tom Vecchio, along with Joe Lisi and George Kurtz. It's 11:30, so we are getting actives and inactives from across the league. So we'll touch on those as those notes come across. Let's jump to Packers at Broncos. This is a very, very important matchup. Not a divisional matchup, obviously interconference matchup at this point, but both of these teams have championship aspirations, Joe. What are your expectations from this? Because I've been on the record multiple times across the network saying I don't believe in the Broncos. They are barely beating bad teams, needing miraculous comebacks, and I just don't think that is sustainable. The defense is fantastic, and there's no doubt about it. But when the offense for the Broncos looks bad, they look terrible. They looked inept and incompetent, and I'm not sure you can do that against a defense like the Packers.
No, you're right. And you bring up great points. And you look at the 10 wins that they have had in a row entering this matchup, Tom, and they've only won by basically 6.9 points per game. Very close wins. A lot of them have come on the road, but they still were able to pick up the W. Now, I will say they're more dominant as a home team. They're 6-0 at home, and the average margin of victory has been 10 points per game. On the flip side, you have a Green Bay team that's 4-1-1 on the road or on a neutral field. They've won those games by an average margin of victory of 9.6 points per game. And I know that right now this offense seems to be clicking for Jordan Love and the passing attack. They got Jaden Reed came back last week. He accounted for 22 rushing yards, 30 yards receiving as well. They always have Josh Jacobs. Christian Watson now has emerged as that number one go-to target for Jordan Love, led all receivers last week. But they're laying a very short number, 2.5 on the road in this spot. I like Denver. I'm going to take a shot with the home dog. I just think they have a little mojo. They're undefeated at home. I'm going to roll with that in this matchup. I don't think it'll be easy. I think it's a lower scoring game, but I'm going to take a shot with big bad Bo Nix and the Broncos in this ball game, guys.
George, what's your expectation for this game? 42.5 total seems a little bit light, but given the quality of defenses that we have on both sides, I wouldn't be surprised to see either team really win this game 20-17. But expectations for this game when it comes to total points?
I probably lean more. I don't think it's, once again, I don't expect it to be a high-scoring game. I don't think either team wants to play that way. Now, we don't know about the health status of Josh Jacobs, mentioned earlier. He's got the bruised knee. Even Emmanuel Wilson. They called up, was it Pierre Strong, I believe it was, from the practice squad. To let you know, they are worried somewhat about the health of these guys. So until 2:30, 2:45 is when we'll find out about whether or not they're going to play. I probably do lean towards Denver right now, but if I find out that Jacobs is good, he's going to go, and if Wilson's good too, I'm probably going to change my mind back to Green Bay. I think they're the better team. I think if it was in Green Bay, I'd have no doubt they're the better team here. They are on the road. It's going to be cold. Both teams are used to that. But, Bo Nix has had to pull the rabbit out of the backside a couple of times this year. I just don't know how you can keep doing that over and over again. Love the defense. The offense, I think, is very questionable here. And that Green Bay defense is legit. Micah Parsons is going to get after Bo Nix there. I said, I think Green Bay could be that team that we're just not talking enough about. We talk about the Rams, and Detroit's the sexy team. No, Philadelphia were champions last year, but I don't think we talk about Green Bay enough here. I think they're one of the best overall teams. Offense, passing game, running game, defense. I think they're one of the best overall teams in the NFC. I'd like them today, but it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be more lower scoring in the low 40s.
Well, speaking of Green Bay, right now they're sitting at -240 to win the NFC North. The Bears, who they beat last week, they're sitting at +270. Both of these teams will be playing each other next week. Obviously, that could have massive implications for the NFC North. The Lions are sitting back there at 10-1. George, would you look to invest in the Bears at this point, knowing that this is a potential loss for the Packers at Denver, and it's also a potential win for the Bears at home when they're taking on Cleveland?
Today is a must-win game for the Bears. The reason, and listen, I think they're going to win. Of course I do. They're playing Cleveland. I know it's -10 degrees. They're all going to freeze. They're all going to die. But that's the way it is. They can run the ball. I'm not so sure the Cleveland with Judkins really can. He hasn't done anything in really about a month there. That being said, after this, you mentioned, Tom, they play Green Bay next week. Okay, that's a 50-50 game. Then you're at San Fran. Then you're Detroit. I kind of think that Detroit game, last game of the season, I think that's a playoff game. I think that's a win, get in game, lose it, you're done. I think Green Bay is going to win the division. I don't think it's going to be Chicago. I think they're in a lot of trouble here. I think last week was, for them to win the division, I think last week was almost a must-win game. You had to beat Green Bay, and you didn't. You probably should have tied the game. Some weird calls there at the end. Caleb also came up a little short there, but I think they win today. I do. Lower scoring game again here, but the rest of the schedule, like I said, Green Bay, San Fran, Detroit. Only San Fran's on the road. The other two are at home here. I mean, what are we hoping for here? 2-1 to be really good. 1-2 seems more likely to me.
And Joe, same to you. Expectations to end the season for the NFC North with these two schedules.
I mean, I would lean to Green Bay even if they lose this game. I think they've exhibited the best and most consistent defense in this spot. But if you're looking at the Bears, big picture, I don't recommend taking the 270 to win the division. I would take a shot potentially on an NFC championship type of situation. If you think big picture, this team can make it to the playoffs and potentially win 1 or 2 games. That would be the better play and better value for me at 14-1. I just don't think it's worth the 270 at this point in the season. Again, I think they win today, guys, but I think from a spread perspective, I think Cleveland's going to be in this ball game potentially from start to finish. I don't know if Swift and Monangai are going to be able to run as easy as they have in recent weeks, against that front seven. And I think Caleb could struggle a little with the back end, that secondary of Cleveland. And, love him or hate him, Shador did throw for 364 last week in the loss. So we'll see how this game plays out.
When it comes to this game specifically between the Packers and the Broncos today, I will say I do like Jordan Love over 220.5 passing yards. Obviously, the expectation for Josh Jacobs right now in the running game for Green Bay is still up in the air. There was a quote earlier today or late last night that I saw that the Packers and Josh Jacobs are very cognizant of the fact that they have to play the Bears 6 days from now. So they are keeping that in mind. And just factually, guys, that is a more important game compared to this one. That is a divisional matchup. This is an interconference game. So just in terms of the wins, this means less compared to next week. So to see them ease off of Jacobs, ease off of Wilson, if he even plays, that would not surprise me. So to see a Jordan Love number now with his passing offense back at full strength, sitting at 220, despite the fact that this is a very good defense on the Denver side of things, I think he can get there simply based on attrition. He will get there based on volume, garbage time, whatever you want to call it. Do either of you have interest in backing Love today in terms of passing yards?
Yeah, I would take a shot. Again, Jaden Reed's back in that offense for 1 week, right? If you're looking big picture for this team moving forward to potentially win an NFC championship, you would put the ball in Jordan Love's hands and at least allow that offense to find continuity with Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. We know Wicks has been banged up along with Romeo Doubs. So to have Reed in that offense that they also utilize in reverses and in the run game, I think it's a Jordan Love passing attack too. I don't think they come into this looking to run against Denver. I think it's Green Bay over the top, which potentially could lead to points. We'll see exactly how it plays. I just buy into the Bo Nix number just a little bit more through the passing attack. I will say they have to get Evan Ingram more involved in the offense. 2 of 8 receptions last week, not good enough. And RJ Harvey, his receiving total always seems to blow through the number, guys.
Yeah, Harvey has stepped up in a big way since Dobbs has been out. Since we have seen the running back issues for the Broncos with J.K. Dobbins out, not Dobbs, the receiver for the Packers. But George, any other thoughts or players that you like in this game?
It's snowing all across the Northeast. Cold as hell here, right? It can be cold in Middle America too. You know what the temperature is in Colorado? 63. How does this happen? So it's going to be a beautiful day in Denver, which once again goes to the point where you should be able to throw the ball, right? So much. Patrick Surtain can only cover one guy. And the Packers don't have the guy, right? You got Reed, you got Wicks, you got Dobbs, you got Golden, Musgrave. They don't care. Love is looking for the best matchup here. Oh, you're covering this guy. I'm not throwing to that guy then. I'll look over here. That's what he does there. So I don't mind your prop of over 220.5. It wouldn't be a big play for me. I do like the Denver defense as a whole here. But maybe they will take a little easy on the running game here and look towards Saturday. But you know what? Teams always say that. Then once the game starts, they want to win the game. The best players play.
We have another huge NFC game to get to with the Lions and the Rams coming up. Stay tuned right here. Pro Football Today will be back after this break.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Wow, how the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on SportsGrid Pro Football Today. Myself, Tom Vecchio, stepping in for Kevin Walsh. Weather concerns across the NFL. There's weather concerns that impact us. Joined by Joe Lisi and George Kurtz. Gentlemen, we have a huge NFC game to get to between the Los Angeles Rams. They're at home hosting the Detroit Lions. They're 5.5-point favorites. The Rams are at home. We have a huge 54.5 total. The Rams right now are the number 1 seed in the NFC. Right now, the Lions are on the outside looking in. They needed that win last Thursday night against the Cowboys, and they need to keep winning in order to push towards the playoffs, Joe. The Rams right now look to be the best team kind of really for the entire season across not just the NFC, but the NFL overall. They are not locked up into the 1 seed. They still need to win this game. They can, of course, I don't want to say afford a loss, but a loss doesn't sink them. A loss sinks the Lions, essentially. What are your thoughts on this game? Because we have to look at the totality of this week's schedule overall, where the Seahawks are in a very, very winnable game. And the Seahawks are only plus 185 right behind the Rams for the division. So getting the number 1 seed is huge, Joe. Expectations for the Rams in this one. To me, I say they don't take their foot off the gas and they try and drop 30 points today.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you have a quarterback in Matt Stafford playing MVP like after they lost a couple of weeks ago to Carolina. He bounced back with a solid effort, 45-17 over a dead Arizona team. They got the rushing attack going along with Kyron Williams. Blake Corum had a touchdown last week. So they have multiple players that they could throw at you. But this is a real litmus test for Detroit in this matchup. Last year, they were the number 1 overall seed, and look what happened. They got abused by Jaden Daniels and Washington in their first playoff matchup. I actually like Detroit in this ball game, guys. And when we talk about being able to exploit the LA Rams defense at multiple levels, that's what Detroit possesses. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery can both run and catch the football out of the backfield. You do have Jamison Williams, that is a home run hitter. St. Brown, you could throw multiple weapons at LA and really stress that defense. I think it's a big day for Jared Goff. I took him for 275 plus, 2 touchdowns. I expect Williams to be that home run hitter, not so much St. Brown. I think St. Brown could get his catches, but I think it's yards with Williams and the anytime touchdown as well. Don't be shocked if Detroit pulls out the outright upset today.
All right, George, to you in terms of who do you like in this game and the total, and then, do you have interest in the Seahawks at plus 185 for the division, knowing that the Rams are in an upset spot right now?
All right, we'll answer the last question first. Do I think the Seahawks could win the division? Sure. I have my problems with Sam Darnold, especially in big games. I mean, he seems to choke. So that game against the Rams earlier, right? He threw 4 interceptions there. That was ugly. And the defense of Seattle played great. They kept them in the game despite those 4 interceptions. So that's my bugaboo. Until I see Darnold actually do it in a big game, I'm going to have my doubts. As for the game we're talking about here, listen, we're not playing any unders in this game, right? It's over galore here. I forget which one of you guys said. I think they score 30 points. The winner had to score 30 points. This is not going to be 21-17. This is going to be 34-31, something like that. I think they're going to get the over. You can go bananas with your over prompts. You're talking about Detroit. Yeah, we know the running backs are great, right? Gibbs is fantastic, maybe one of the best players in the NFL. He's worth the price of admission all by himself. All right, he could stop on a dime. You saw what he made. They're on Bland. The Cowboys cornerback looked stupid last week, right? But Gibbs stops, and Bland is still running. Both ankles are broken there, so love watching Gibbs here. I think what was very impressive about the Lions' offense against the Cowboys, and I understand the Cowboys have no pass defense. I get it. But Jameson Williams wasn't just a deep threat. All right, it wasn't, okay, Jameson, go run a fly, go run a post. No, he was running digs, curls, ins, outs here. He looked like a real wide receiver, maybe for the first time here. Since Campbell's taken over the play calling here, he's gotten him more involved here. So I like that. I think you can play your over props all over the place here. Corum anytime touchdown, he's almost splitting the carries with Kyron. They actually are a team that's serious about wanting to keep Kyron healthy, not overworking him. So Corum's getting more and more plays here. The only thing I'll disagree with Joe about is I'm on the Rams. I think they win the game. I might take Detroit in the points. And this game is not part of any parlays or any teasers I have, by the way. It could be a good game. It could be fun. Looking forward to watching it in the 4 o'clock window here. But I think the Rams are the better overall team, and they're at home. I'll take the Rams.
Right. I would certainly lean with the Rams to win this game. If it was a 2.5 line for the Rams, I will say, and we're looking for an in-game line with the Rams, I'd be all over that. But I'd be inclined to take the points with the Lions. Rams coming away with the victory. The one thing I will say when it comes to a prop perspective in this game, digging into some of the numbers in terms of where we have the props, to me, there's nothing super favorable just because we are dealing with such a high total at 54.5. We're never getting a discount on St. Brown, Puka, Devontae, Williams, you name it, Gibbs. Obviously, these numbers are a little bit crazy to me when we're seeing them in the upper 90s, whatever it might be. Joe, do you like anything specifically from a prop perspective? Because I would lean with you when in terms of backing Goff and his yards today. I don't want to go to a specific receiver.
Yeah, I took a shot. I took Jameson Williams up to 90 today and anytime touchdown. I think in big games as well, Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing attack is an X factor that, teams can't put a nickelback or a linebacker on him. We looked at Jahmyr Gibbs in the rushing attack, but on the road in this type of setting in a must-win game, I think they utilize him in the passing attack as well. Again, looking touchdown-wise for Detroit, I think it's Williams. He can potentially have 2 big plays and 2 touchdowns in this game. I think it has great value across the board. On the LA side, I still lean to Blake Corum. Again, George is right. They're splitting carries. He hit pay dirt last week. Again, I like to run with that type of momentum as well. And Parkinson as well, the tight end, always seems to find critical third down receptions and red zone opportunities for Matt Stafford outside of Puka and Devontae Adams. So keep an eye out for Parkinson today.
Right. The Rams are utilizing 13 personnel quite a bit, 1 running back and then 3 tight ends. They're also passing a lot out of that. George, have you looked to any of the player props for this game? Because you said it's going to be a lot of overs, but do you like any player specifically?
Listen, Stafford he's done 4 interceptions all year. I'm taking over his touchdown prop over. I think both guys are going to be throwing the ball here. Probably trust Stafford a little bit more than Goff, but I have no issues with Goff either here. If you're looking for maybe Tutu Atwell, looking guys that are a little off the board. Tutu Atwell might be somebody I'd look at here. Not that I'm really going it. I love Joe's play about Parkinson, by the way. Colby Parkinson, little sneaky play there. Now Tyler Higbee's been gone for the season, right? We don't talk about him enough either. Someone else going to catch the ball there. It's not going to be all Puka and Devontae Adams. So I think Parkinson's a good play there, Joe. I like that.
All right, so we have plenty more to get to. We will touch on Panthers-Saints next. That may not seem like the biggest game at face value, but with the Bucs loss on Thursday night to the Falcons, the Panthers right now are sitting atop the NFC South. The Panthers and the Bucs still have to play twice to close out the season, so it will be Panthers-Saints next, right here on SportsGrid.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if it's a documentary or like actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show.
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter.
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
We're back right here on SportsGrid, Pro Football Today. We're coming up on 1 hour. We have another hour set. We have 2 guests coming on with Adam Kaplan and Dr. David Chow to give their weekly insights. Let's turn to the Panthers at the Saints. As I said right before the break, face value, this doesn't look like the biggest game of the week. It doesn't have massive playoff implications for both teams. It does have playoff implications for the Panthers. This has been a Carolina team that has been completely up and down, at least in my opinion, this season. They looked terrible a couple of weeks ago against the 49ers. They lose that game. They pick up some wins, but most importantly, the Buccaneers lost on Thursday night to the Falcons with Kirk Cousins at the helm. The Bucs were 5.5-point home favorites. They get Mike Evans back, and they still come out with the loss on the last-second field goal by the Falcons, and just an unbelievable game by Kyle Pitts with his 3 touchdowns, Joe. When we're looking at this game overall, and really the way I would phrase the NFC South right now is it's still completely up in the air. The Panthers are now just sitting at plus 105. These 2 teams have to play twice in the remaining 3 weeks. But the way I would phrase it is that Tampa Bay's losing the division. It's not as if the Panthers are winning the division. The Panthers are backing themselves into the division title. What are your thoughts on the NFC South as of now?
Well, I still buy in. Now, we saw Mike Evans come in, and he had over 100 yards. He is an added addition and opens up everything for Ibuka and everything for Tampa Bay. So I still, from the divisional aspect, still lean to Tampa Bay at minus 135. I'd still put my money on Baker and that veteran group than I would anybody else right now. But you bring up Carolina. They get the win over LA, their last matchup, 31-28, right? That was, they were catching 10.5. They were a 10.5-point underdog in that game. They win it, but you have to bet them every other week, right? But New Orleans is playing much better with Tyler Shuck. He's more consistent in the passing attack. They've gotten running back Devin Neal going, and that offensive line seems to have a little bit of continuity. Receivers, I still think, are weak outside of Chris Olave. But that being said, they're more consistent in putting up points. This is a game, if you're Dave Canales and you're this team overall, you have to step up. You have to take care of business against a dead football team in New Orleans. It's a divisional matchup. I can only look Carolina here, but the 40.5 to me, guys, is very appealing in this matchup over.
So when I'm looking at this game, to your point about, having to beat a, dead team in the Saints, To me, this screams Rico Dowdle game. His prop is sitting at 56.5. To me, this sounds like you get in, you get out, and you come away with the win. Regardless of how it happens, Bryce Young doesn't need to throw for 300 yards. You just come away with the win, George. Do you like the Panthers overall? I wouldn't lay the points with the Panthers. Frankly, I would just take them on the money line. I'm not going to be worried about laying points with a team I really just don't trust. But I would look to Rico Dowdle at over 56.5. Pound the ball, come away with the win is the most important thing if you're the Panthers. It doesn't have to be flashy.
Certainly agree about the win. That's all they want to go in there and do, right? New Orleans is not. Listen, I know as Gabe and I have talked about this during the week. We thought New Orleans was going to be terrible this year. They're not good, but they're not terrible. They can play good for Tyler Shaw, who's been better, maybe better than we expected in year one, right? Good for Kellen Moore for getting the most out of that team. Not a lot of talent there. I mean, outside of Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, who else do you want there? Kamara is not Kamara anymore. He's not the same guy. He's not playing, probably not playing today anyway. So I think Carolina does win. So, Tom, I have no problem laying the 150, 158, whatever it might be here. They have to win here, all right, because not only do they play Tampa 2 of the next 3 games, that middle game is Seattle, all right? That's a problem. Seattle's going to have to play that game. It's not like Seattle's going to have everything locked up here where they have nothing to play for. No, they're going to need to play here. So if they slip up today, I mean, it may almost all be over here. They have to win this game. You can't be looking ahead here. You can't be looking at Tampa Bay next week. Got to take care of business. They are a different team on the road than they are at home, which is why I have some hesitation, and which is why this is not one of my biggest bets today. Because I do I'm pretty much a minus 160, minus 165 guy and under. Anything over that, I don't bet, but minus 158 fits my narrative there. So normally this would be a bigger bet for me, but it keeps going on in the back of my head. New Orleans spoiler. They don't play well on the road here. It's going to be a closer game than you think, and they may feel a little bit too much of themselves because Tampa Bay choked the other night. And I believe all of that, by the way, but still, I'm on Carolina to win today. Hubbard, Dowdle, I might be a little bit careful about. Hubbard all of a sudden has got that role again. I'm not full, but it's more Hubbard now than Dowdle of late. And listen, if I'm Canales, the hot guy plays. It's that simple. I need to play the game. I can't play games here. All right. If Hubbard's playing well, he's running the ball. If Dowdle's playing well, he's running the ball. That's the way I approach it. So I think it's a little dangerous for me to pick one or the other. And I actually lean towards Hubbard.
Okay, that's certainly a fair point. They just have to win the game. We have seen them at times with the injuries to Chuba Hubbard. He missed games. Rico Dowdle was fantastic. But prior to that, we have seen both of these players go drive by drive. And whoever has the hot hand, that's who they were rolling with. So plenty more to get to. We have some other huge games to touch on. Again, I think we're all on the same side that we lean Panthers in this, but depending on how you want to bet them, that's how you should approach it. 1 hour is done right here on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. We have more to get to. We'll break down the rest of our games, get to our guests, and give you our best bets to close things out. And then before 1 p.m., we'll be here with IGL. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid.
Super Bowl MVP, multiple Super Bowl chances there, Super Bowl championship as they got it. Nick Sirianni said on the radio, no chance that Jalen Hurts is going to be benched. But by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't play the last 3 games. I think the Eagles would be 3-0 in those games, though. Just saying, Joe.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. When the Eagles fans turn on their quarterback, it's getting ugly in Philly, folks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're doing a new show about a Japanese interpreter.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing I don't know if it's a documentary or actors are in it.
It's got to.
I think it's a drama.
It's a real show.
It's like a scripted show?
Yeah.
About a Japanese interpreter?
Yes.
I wonder who's getting paid for that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why, though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.